Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Mark Ronich of Statewide News Service, jbiztechvalley.com, and as you can see here, columnist for the Jewish Press.
Yep, I'm having a lot of fun doing all of that. I have a column in the paper called Albany Beat, and sometimes I take shots at certain people, but right now,
Don't want to take
someone
those
who really does take shots at certain issues, Tom King. He's the head of the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. Welcome to the Jewish View, Tom.
It's good to be here. I'm very glad that you asked. We've been friends for a long time, and I know that sometimes we share the same views, sometimes we don't. I think it's going to be an interesting program, one way or the other.
And I never disclose how I feel personally, so Tom never knows, but he knows I'm a friend. And
that's exactly right, and that's what's important.
That's right. So tell me what the biggest issue is for the rifle, now that the SAFE Act has been passed, and what's the biggest issue for you now?
The biggest issue is repealing the SAFE Act, and we're looking to moderate some of the contingencies that have been forced upon us in the SAFE Act. There are things that are making it near impossible for lawful legal gun owners to participate in the shooting sports, any kind of competitions. And our first goal is to try to change some of those characteristics of the law so that it becomes easier for the lawful citizen to go out and compete, as in Olympic training and national championships.
The SAFE Act doesn't allow that? I thought they were allowed to go hunting.
Well, the SAFE Act isn't about hunting, and it allows hunting. But what I'm talking about is that there's an ammunition aspect of the SAFE Act that says you can no longer buy ammunition out of state via the internet and have it shipped to your home. Okay. Now, I used to be a competitive shooter, and I would shoot a minimum of 10,000 to 12,000 rounds a year.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, and that's expensive, and there's people that shoot a lot more than I do, particularly the world-class shooters that go to the national championships, that try out for the Olympics and all that, and it's becoming very difficult and very, very expensive for them to purchase the ammo that allows them to compete, to stay at the levels that they need to.
Now, this has increased your membership. I mean, you always need a galvanizing issue.
Yeah.
So this really has helped you in terms of membership, but then again, you can also use a lot of the money you're raising to fight issues like this.
Yeah, our membership has been growing for the past 15 years, and don't misunderstand me, the SAFE Act absolutely did help increase our membership, but not as much as you might think. We picked up about 8,000 members after the SAFE Act was passed, which brought us up to about 45,000 members.
Okay, so that's what, a 25% increase?
Yes.
Yeah, so. Easy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take it. I'm
That's
not.
Right. Now, you're also on the board of the NRA, the National Rifle Association.
Yes, I am.
So why, and you just got reelected, I guess.
No, the election is still going on. I should find out tomorrow.
Oh, wow, okay, well, wish you congratulations.
Thank you.
Early.
Thank you.
I don't, so then there's this other guy, Johnny Nugent, who's also running.
Yes.
Is he Ted Nugent's
relative? No relation.
No relation. Okay,
no.
We'll move on. Tom King, so I just wanted to, what is your role with is this the first time you're on the board of the
No, I've been on the NRA board for 9 years,
right.
9 or 10 years.
So what's your, how do you see New York State differ from the national perspective?
The New York State differs from the interior national group of states. If you look at the coastal states, the Californias, the New Yorks, and in New England areas, the anti-gun laws and the gun laws are much more stricter and much more restrictive here, okay, than they would be in Kansas, Iowa, Colorado, and things like that. And so there are actually, we don't have a whole lot of affinity with the central part of the country, other than the fact that we're all gun owners and we're all fighting for the same thing. We fight together with the other New England states and California and the West Coast states, because that's where the real battle is going on. I mean, New York State is the media capital of the world.
Yeah.
And if you lose in New York, you're going to lose everywhere.
So you don't really have much in common with the New York State doesn't have much in common with the rest of the nation, but we want to be a voice. It's sort of like agriculture. We don't, agriculture is our #1 industry, but we're very rarely considered an agricultural state in Congress. So, but we have to be involved with agriculture in Congress because we need a voice there. So I don't know why I just came up with that, but that analogy was just.
That's very, it's very close, okay? Yeah. It's not that we have a very close relationship with the heartland America as far as the being pro Second Amendment and being hunters and shooters and outdoors people, but as far as legislation and laws go, we have a closer relationship with the New England states and with the Western
Coast,
states. Yeah, because of the severity of the laws that are being proposed.
Well, let me ask you this: I'm going to use the word nemesis, but it might be New Yorkers Against Gun Violence. They say they're just there not to be anti-gun, but to be against gun violence. I presume you're against gun violence also.
I don't know any gun owner who is in favor of gun violence,
right?
Okay? Is New Yorkers Against Gun Violence a nemesis? No. I mean, yes, they are, because they push all these laws, but as I said earlier, we have 45,000 members, okay?
Right.
New Yorkers Against Gun Violence has about 400 members, okay? But what they do is they have a lot of monies from the Bloombergs and the Soroses, and that's how they start all of this. We raise our money from our grassroots people.
Right.
Okay.
Mark, I want today, we're on the Jewish View, and it's just interesting to me that, when I was younger, growing up, Jews and guns didn't go along. They're not the hunters, that wasn't their, maybe mahjong and golf, but, not hunting. And nowadays, I don't have statistics, I don't have statistics about it, but, it just seems for me obviously I know so many Jewish people, I'm the rabbi, that people are saying, Rabbi, I'm getting a gun, I'm going to, and, do you see that, people are, maybe guns because of protection, that's what they're not going hunting for deer, but they just feel that more and more, you never saw this before when I was young, I better get a gun for protection, and so all of a sudden everybody's just saying, yeah, Rabbi, you should, and they're telling me I should get a gun. And
well, I understand why they're doing it. The world has changed. It's become a dangerous place. The threat of terrorism. I know everybody says, well, it's not going to happen. It could never happen. Well, ask the people in California. Ask the people in Paris. They said Columbine. They say it can't happen. Okay, and yet it does. And so people understand that, and I think that they're understanding also that while the police do a very, very creditable job, and I don't know what society would be like without a good police department, that response times are just, terribly slow if you live outside of a city, and sometimes even in the city. And a lot can happen in 3 minutes. Or the state police, the state police now says that if you live in the suburban upstate New York, the average response time is about 22 minutes for the state police. A lot happens in 22 minutes, and people understand that, and they want to protect themselves.
For sure. Now, one of the big issues, I guess, for the New Yorkers Against Gun Violence is a safe storage bill.
Mm-hmm.
Are you against safe storage bill?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm against mandating safe storage, okay? And that's already been decided by the Supreme Court in the Heller decision. The Heller decision said you cannot mandate any type of storage that will bar a owner from getting his gun in a time of an emergency. That's decided already.
Yeah.
Okay? So why they are proposing something that has already been declared unconstitutional, I'm not really sure. However, the NRA teaches, the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association teaches, and any gun club that I know teaches one thing, and that is you must secure your firearm if it's not on your person, okay? I have 2 safes in my house, okay?
One for the bullets, one for the guns?
No. That's no. One for the guns upstairs, one for the guns downstairs.
Oh.
Okay, and there's, most people do this. What we have to do is, if someone has a firearm and they carelessly store it, and it's used against somebody,
Right.
you don't blame the firearm. You don't blame a kid if he picks up the gun. Blame the owner of the firearm,
Right.
okay? And those are the people that should be prosecuted, okay? There was a case of...
In Saratoga County, this Nopkin.
Oh yeah, but even before that, there was a case of a DEC officer who was walking along the railroad tracks, and he lost his firearm, okay? Never reported it, went out and bought another one, okay?
Oh, God.
And somewhere up in Colony, this challenged fellow was walking with his best friend, who was like an 11-year-old kid, and they picked up the gun and they were looking at it, and the gun discharged, and it killed the one kid. And they charged this disabled child with manslaughter. It's not his fault, you know.
It goes back to the DEC office.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Because he didn't report it.
He didn't report it, and they didn't go out and look for it. You know, they would have had all of their recruits out there, looking for it.
So it's not the fact that he lost it, it's the fact that he didn't report it.
Didn't
That's
report
the
it.
problem.
Yeah, and in your home, I have raised 2 kids, and I have 4 grandkids. And they all know that I own firearms. And well, you know my family,
Yeah.
And they have never touched it. They knew there were consequences if they touched any of the firearms. They were all locked up, okay,
Right,
but
but
they
got in.
They got in them, and they knew there were going to be consequences, okay? And we just don't do that today.
So what would you like to see instead of a safe storage bill, or how should it be amended in some way? Is there some way you can get together with the people who are proposing this?
We have tried to talk with these people over the years, and there really is no compromise with them, because you have to remember one thing. Is they're picking out if they're picking out a spot and they're saying we want to restrict this right from here to here, and I'm saying, well, we're trying to protect it, okay? And so if I compromise, I'm giving up something.
Yeah.
If they compromise, they're still winning, because they've just picked out an arbitrary point where they've started from. They're not giving up anything. They're winning, okay? And what I think should happen is I think the education should be more of an issue. I think that we should teach kids in school, don't play with guns, okay? The NRA has a program called Eddie Eagle, okay? The New York State Assembly passed it, and the New York State Senate passed it about 10, 12 years ago, while George Pataki was governor, and he vetoed it. Okay, and all of this program said was, if you find a gun, don't touch it, leave the room, and tell an adult. But that was too controversial for George. He thought, because it was an NRA program, and there was nothing that even alluded to the fact that it was an NRA program.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's what you have to do. You have to teach the kids to stay away. They see, and I don't blame television, I don't blame games for anything. I think we have a loss of family values, but that's another issue.
Story for another day.
But the kids see the firearms being used,
Right.
and they think, wow, that looks kind of cool, and we have to do something to stop that. We have to turn that around.
So let me ask you about this Nopkin case from Saratoga County. What should happen there? Because it looks like that's what started a lot of the uproar.
I'm not, I've followed it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where it is right now. Did they charge the child with anything?
Yeah, I believe.
Say the story,
I don't want to say it wrong. And,
Well,
but I just.
I mean, just, I don't
It
know.
was a child, it was two kids playing.
Playing, yeah.
And one kid picked up a gun that was owned by the family,
By the father.
by the father, and then the gun discharged and it killed an 11-year-old.
11-year-old or somebody with the same
Yeah,
age.
right.
And supposedly from what I read, and I don't really know the facts to it because it's a still ongoing case, is that what I heard that is that it was stored in a dresser drawer, okay, loaded. I mean, you don't do that. Just, you don't do that.
Don't do that, right. So.
Particularly when you have kids around the house.
Right, so that's why, you would normally say the parents are to blame.
Oh, I think that the parents are to blame, particularly if you're talking about an 11 or 12-year-old.
Yeah.
They may be the smartest kids in their class, but 11 and 12-year-olds just aren't too bright,
Well, they're
as far as
not,
common sense goes. Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're very mischievous. And
Absolutely.
They want to get into everything and look and see. And,
Sure.
What would be the motivation? Because again, like I alluded to, there's hunting, there's sport, like you started to show off, and there's protection. So I was just thinking that, like you say, your gun's in the safe. Well, if a robber comes, you're going to sit there, 10 here, 30 here. Like you say, you don't have to, he's not going to wait for you to
No,
open up
I go
the
like
safe.
this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a biometric safe.
Really?
Yeah.
It takes you how many seconds to...
Is it the
Really?
One or
fingerprint-
two.
When you
Really?
say biometric, it's the
Yeah.
fingerprints? Yeah.
And you can just
And
open it
that's
up in a
relatively
second.
new.
Yeah, and it just opens up. And what happens is that you can also use pressure. You can program. The fingerprinting itself doesn't work too well. Okay, because if your fingers are greasy, that doesn't read. But what you can do is you can also program in a pattern.
Right.
So that you go ding, 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 ding. Okay, and then it opens up. Okay.
So it could be for protect. That's what I was thinking. You say
Yeah.
it's safe. I don't know how you're going to protect yourself,
Yeah.
but that's
Well, that's
really
what it's
the
made
answer.
for.
Yeah, I could understand that. So just to have, I was just thinking, well, a person wanted maybe to this father, hey, I need protection. I need a gun right in my drawer. A robber comes and I want to pull it out. But you're right. There's other ways to,
There's other ways to secure it.
and
So
you can still be protected from a
Yes.
robber real fast. All right, good. That's important.
So there was this, so the safe storage bill didn't get past the codes committee, which is chaired by Senator Nozzolio,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Is that correct? So
Yes.
Nozzolio's probably one of your favorite people now? Or-
No,
He always has been?
No, Mike has always been a friend. Okay, I'm from Rochester. Okay, originally.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's
he's
where Mike is
just
from.
to the east,
Yeah. So
His district.
yeah, actually, he had Webster,
Right,
New York, and I grew up in Fairport, which is the next town over from
right, so
Webster.
it's Monroe County. right?
Monroe County, yes.
And so he just, they took the vote and, in the committee, which was positive, I guess, and
Mhm.
it went down on party line vote.
Yeah, isn't that the way it also happens in the assembly, though? In the
goes
codes
up.
committee?
Yeah,
Yeah, it goes
yeah.
up, yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that our viewers knew what happened with the bill.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like it's going anywhere.
No, you never
It's,
know. You never
You
know.
never know.
When
The
the
last-
big ugly comes at the end of the year, you just never know what's going to come out.
What about the campus policies for gun violence? We see more and more guns on college campuses. What is your view about that? Is it overhyped? Is it the reality? Is it something people who are going to look into which college their kids want to go to should consider, any records or anything that's about gun violence on a particular campus?
That's a tough question to
Well,
answer. I mean, because
That's kind of me.
yeah, I know, but I mean, it's just I have two kids or two grandsons that are in college. Okay, one of them up in the north, and the other down in North Carolina. Okay, and two different attitudes.
That's
Okay,
right.
and I've been on both of the campuses, walking around. I can't tell the difference.
Right.
Okay, I mean they're just young kids. I'm sorry. What I do think is I think what's even more important than college campuses is I think that there's a need to protect our students. And I'm not saying arm the teachers, although that's what they did in Israel, and that's worked, okay? It's kept the Palestinians from attacking the schools along the borders, okay? And, but I think that there should be some trained people in the schools to deter the fact that people are going to come in or attempt to come in and shoot up a school. Why? This is kind of a rhetorical question, I guess. But why do shootings happen in schools? Because they're gun-free zones. Okay, why don't they at theaters? Gun-free zone. Why don't they happen at gun clubs? On a Saturday you'll have 300 people at the gun club. I mean, there's a good answer to that. Okay,
But the police, and we have paid militia who are responsible for carrying the guns, not the average everyday person.
Why didn't they stop them? Why didn't they stop Newtown? Because there was a police officer who was working in the Newtown school. However, he was prohibited from carrying a gun.
Oh.
Okay, now that's ridiculous.
Well, it's like the bobbies in England. in
Yeah,
London.
well, they're armed now.
Now they're armed,
Yeah.
but they used to do the club.
Club, yeah. And believe me, I understand the sensibilities of a lot of people, how they feel that any gun is a threat, okay? And I know that that's not the case, okay? But I do know that there are people who prey on gun-free zones. Why, in almost every instance, has the perpetrator of the crime committed suicide when the cops showed up? Because he was scared of the policeman with a gun and he took his own life.
Well, you look at this Albany case.
It's interesting, I didn't think of
where
that.
this Tortorici guy went in and tried to shoot up a lecture center
Yep.
on the main campus at Albany. Now, again, he was tackled by some of the football guys, and he was disarmed, even though the gun did discharge and hurt one of the students
Yeah.
in a very sensitive spot.
Yes.
And, there weren't any other guns in that room. It was just someone who tackled them and disarmed them.
Sure, and he took a very, very big chance of doing that. And I remember that case very well. There was a case in East Greenbush about 5 years ago where a non-student brought a shotgun into school, and if it wasn't for a very brave teacher who played basketball with my son, who attacked him and got shot, okay, but not very badly, who knows what would have happened. But finding someone with the courage to take on someone with a firearm, is really, I'm not sure how you do it. I mean, and until you're in that situation,
Well, you don't know.
you don't know.
But then you talk about this guy, going back to this guy Tortorici, he did eventually, I think he committed suicide in prison, or he
Yeah.
was killed in
Yes,
prison.
yeah.
He was
One or the other.
suicide. It was
Suicide, yeah.
In prison. So again, maybe that was in your theory of him.
I think the biggest problem that we have is mental health.
Oh, all right. Talk about that a little bit.
I'm not really qualified to really talk about
Well,
it.
like
but,
you would amongst your friends at the gun club.
I think that if you look at almost all of the shootings that have happened in schools, all of the kids were being treated with psychotropic drugs, okay, Ritalin and all that. And Ritalin, if you look at the PDR, the physician's death reference, you'll see that some of the side effects are violence, feelings of grandeur, and there's actually a legal defense called the Ritalin defense that a couple of people have gotten off of murder charges because they were on Ritalin. Okay, now, and it also says Ritalin is especially dangerous to young children. Okay, under, I don't remember what the age is, but it's like 15 or 16. Okay, and so we know that, but yet we're giving them this drug that may produce violence, may produce suicides, and we're not watching over them. The Newtown case, the fellow was being treated for some severe mental problems, and yet he got a gun from his mother, and look what he did. Let's place the blame where the blame belongs on sorry about
That's
that.
all right.
Where the blame belongs on the core issues rather than on a gun. I mean, I could put a gun up here. I could have put a gun up here, you know, from the beginning of the program, and it
You
could have
have it
sat
on
there.
you?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Okay, it could have.
Show and tell.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I understand. It could have sat here. Okay, and it wouldn't have done anything.
Right.
Okay, until somebody decides that it's going to do that.
Right.
It's a people issue. You know, if you look at the all of the most of the gun killings, okay, are all from a certain demographic, okay, ages from about 15 to about 21. It's
Well, it's
like
interesting, I didn't think of that.
80%, and you know where they all come from? Drugs. They're all in the inner city, and they're narco gangs that are shooting each other because of turf wars.
So we also talked about with some police chiefs of the community guns, so to speak.
Oh, wow,
And
yeah.
they take the gun and they put it under a step or somewhere in the community, and if you need to go and get a gun, you go to someone and you say, hey, I need this.
Yeah, but you're a gang member, okay? That's who's doing that, okay? And I've had people estimate upwards of maybe 150 community guns in Albany, okay? Now, no one knows for sure, okay, but they're here.
Even
And
with the good buyback programs, you know?
buyback programs don't work. Ask the people that are there. The last buyback program, I think it was in Troy, and the response was we took in like 75 guns, okay, and most of them were from older people
Right.
who were turning in guns that their spouses had owned and they died, and they turned them in for $150, okay? Where if they had taken them to a gun shop, they probably could have gotten $300 or $400 for
Right.
them, okay? So if just thinking about it, if you have a gangbanger who's got a gun,
Yeah.
is he going to turn it in
Right.
for $75? It doesn't happen. And if you ask the sheriffs, if you ask the street police officers, they'll tell you that it doesn't. But if you ask Reverend Charlie, or you ask the police chiefs who are, you know, appointed politically, they'll say, "Oh, best program around." Stop lying to the people.
Right.
Do something that's going to cause the problem to go away.
I want to leave it on this note, because I told this story before on the show, and I want to tell it again. A friend of my parents lived in Orange County around Warwick,
Mm-hmm.
and they owned like half a mountain, you know, one of those small mountains. But
Yeah, still half a mountain.
half a mountain. And they had an arsenal of guns on the property, and the kids all knew how to respect the weaponry. And the father was sitting at the table and cleaning the rifle, and the son, the teenage son who I had bonded with just a few weeks earlier, got up to get some bread, and the rifle discharged. And the father didn't know that there was a shell in the chamber.
Mhm.
Is that what the?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then the gun went off, and it killed them. They were in a rural area. They couldn't get to the hospital. They tried, but it was too far gone. He wouldn't have had a quality of life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a shame. Life cut short. The family was broken up. Some of the kids went to the military. Some kids went into nursing and healthcare. I mean, and the father died of an early age from a broken heart. And it just was a shame.
Was he in jail?
No.
That's too bad.
No. But they found out afterwards that he was running guns for the mob. So they took all the guns and they threw them in the river, and they got rid of them. But
That happens. If you look at where crimes happen, and if you look at how accidents happen, first off, there is no such thing as an accident. Okay, it's negligent. Plain and simple. If a gun goes off when it's not intended to, as long as there's nothing wrong with the gun, okay, it's negligence on the part of the owner or the part of the person who's handling it. Plain and simple. There are no accidents, okay? Particularly, there shouldn't be with something as that can be as life-threatening as a firearm.
Okay.
All right, excellent. Tom, that was very enlightening for the people, and, it's interesting for our viewers to see the other
It's
side.
sobering.
You see
It's
always
sobering.
the,
It really is sobering to hear you talk about this the way you do. And I appreciate this. This is very
all
good.
right.
Appreciate
And
it.
hopefully we're more educated about the gun issue, which is a current event, a major issue
Yes,
today.
it is. I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure. And, the questions, and I'm not pandering, okay? The questions were very good. They were intelligent questions. And they were questions that I think that a lot of people have that they just don't ask.
Right.
Or the media doesn't ask. I think he did a great job
Which is
asking
why
the
I wanted
questions.
you on the show.
Yeah.
Because I know that you could answer these, and so thank you.
Thank you
welcome.
very much.